Coming up next on We Are Marshall Today, thousands of students, family, and friends celebrate Marshall University's annual commencement. We'll have the story.
Plus, the opening of a brand new facility in Logan County means easier access to health care for West Virginians. These stories and more up next on We Are Marshall Today.
Hello and welcome to We Are Marshall Today. I'm Dan Hollis.
And I'm Leah Clark Payne. More than 1,500 students graduated from Marshall University earlier this month, including 12 students who maintained a 4.0 during their collegiate years.
Leah, the annual ceremony at the Big Sandy Superstore Arena featured two-time Marshall graduate and Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter Julia Keller.
The ability to think, that what education gives you is the ability to think. The facts that you learn are probably going to be outdated fairly soon. We know how fast information travels now, but you learn how to think, and that's what a college education gives you, and that's never going to become obsolete. That's never going to become outdated. That will be with you forever, and that's what Marshall gave me and has given them.
It's been 11 years, 10 months, and 19 days since I graduated high school. That includes 2 deployments to the Middle East. I've worked full-time, gone to school full-time. Nobody's taking this day from me.
Time with friends. It's just the past 4 years winding down. All this hard work is just finally paying off, and we all get to come here and celebrate it together.
Today is taking everything I've learned, all my friends and every experience, and going on and making new memories and becoming a professional nurse.
Today kind of sums up the 4 years that I've been at school, the 5 years I've been at school actually, but all of the, all the classes, all the experiences that I've had, this kind of like wraps it all up. This is the sort of the tie at the top of the big gift that, Marshall's given me by going to school here.
I hope they take home this notion that they now know how to think and to go out in the world and to use that and to make good choices in their lives, good choices politically, economically, in their personal relationships, that you know how to do that now. Marshall has given you the confidence in your own mind and in your own intellectual abilities.
I'm definitely taking my education and my friends that I've made, my roommates, and just, my friends and just all my experiences.
Taking what Marshall's given me, the ability to know that I can make it by myself. What I've learned the last 4 years can, sort of take me on to the next level.
I'm not going to miss the tests. I'm going to miss the times together after class when we all go out to eat, coming to concerts, just spending time together outside of class.
Just the fact that I did it. I mean, a lot of people would have given up, especially after getting called back to the Army. It's been a lot of frustrating times. A lot of times I wanted to quit, but just the fact that I did it. I can't. I graduated.
We welcome to We Are Marshall Today CNN correspondent, multiple award-winning journalist, and son of Marshall, Joe Johns. Joe, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. Glad to be back.
Well, you come back to campus
every now
on a
and then.
semi-regular basis.
Sure.
I know you've spoken at the fountain ceremony. You were Grand
Right.
Marshal of the homecoming parade a few years ago. What brings you back this time is to be the keynote speaker for the honors convocation.
Right.
What message do you want to leave with those students?
Well, I probably tried to write the speech about half a dozen times, and finally I came down on talking to them about what I know. They always tell you, if you start a business, do what you know. Going to give a speech, do what you know. So I thought I'd talk to them a little bit about the information nation, the way information exchange has changed, and over the years since I left this school, how you develop information, you develop research, and what comes to mind is that when I went to Marshall University, the way you developed sources of information was you got a box, you made clips, you cut out newspaper articles, magazine articles, and then and you stored them away and you filed them. So you had to sort of be a file clerk in order to keep up with current events or what have you. And then you fast forward to today, and you have the Google and Internet and Wikipedia. And my great example is that when I was on the speech team at Marshall, we did extemporaneous speaking. They'd give you a one-sentence topic. You walk in, and you have to, in 30 minutes, develop and deliver a speech, which is really hard and kind of scary, right? My topic was balanced budget amendment, and I didn't have anything in the file on balanced budget amendment. I didn't know what it was. And so, I stumbled and stammered around and figured it out. But now you go to Google and you type in balanced budget amendment, and you get 240,000 results in 8/100ths of a second. So it's very different, and that's what I want to talk about, the way the whole information game has worked, and how you fit into it and what you do about it and how you use it.
I also know that you're a big supporter of honors education. You were on the board of directors for the EMBA
Absolutely.
Scholars. Why is it that Marshall should support honors education? Why do you support it?
Well, I think it's very important for universities to recognize that while you should be an open community for all people, there are also exceptional students who need nurturing too, and there needs to be a place for the very, very best, the very brightest, because at the end of the day, these are the people who are going to give you your greatest research, who are going to give you your greatest breakthroughs. So during my years on the Yeager Scholars Board, I learned more from the projects done by some of these young people who were just on their way into life at Marshall University. And the things they taught me in their little lectures stayed with me. So, I've always been a real believer in honors education. In fact, when I was here at Marshall, I was just a bit of a rabble-rouser, quite frankly, on the issue of pushing academics and keeping it in balance with athletics. So, I really pushed the idea of the scholar athlete. I tutored athletes in the jock dorm. And I tried to be sort of a role model, if you will, to show how you don't have to be one-dimensional if you're a student athlete. You also have to get the academics piece.
Well, let's pick up on that role model idea. You have to be aware that students these days see you as a role model. Marshall students see you as a role model. Certainly journalism students do. But also other students who see you as very successful in the career that you've chosen. Are you comfortable with that whole role model idea?
I don't really shirk from it because, the fact of the matter is that in your life, to someone, whoever you are, wherever you live, you're probably going to be a role model. I know to my son, to my daughter, I'm a role model to them. And so, you just sort of have to step up to that and realize, okay, you try to behave in a certain way. You're not always successful. You're still going to have controversies. There are going to be times when people don't like you and they say bad things about you. Yeah. And that certainly happened to me. But on balance, I don't have any problem with that.
Well, and you mentioned one of the ways that you are a role model is the way you combined your academics. You were a Dean's List student. The way you had athletics, you're successful in athletics. You four-time conference champion in the shot put in the distance.
Yeah.
Talk about how you did maintain that balance.
I had dates in the library. I didn't tell my friends in the dorm, but yeah, I would go to the library with girls and we would sit across from each other and read books, which wasn't very exciting. It was usually their idea anyway. But a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I had always sort of had a code, and it was about keeping moving, and I was a little ADD too. So I didn't like to stay in one place too long, but I wanted to try to do everything as well as I could. And I had fun. I mean, Marshall has a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of different things you can do. You can meet incredible people. I met extraordinary people, Edward Albee, Ruby Dee, and Ossie Davis. There were people I actually get to sit down and talk to here. So there was so much to do, and I still ran out of time and had to leave.
Well, let's fast forward to your life these days. You're a correspondent for CNN. I work for the Anderson Cooper Show. You've worked in national television for 2 decades now. How has journalism changed in that time?
Well, it's become much more immediate. It's become much more dispersed and diverse. You know, back in the day, there were a handful of newspapers and 3 networks that kind of controlled the news, what you thought, what you didn't think. Nowadays, you have not just 24-hour cable, you have the force of the internet, which is sort of overpowering. And you know I have colleagues, I've just recently, a very well-known anchorman, whose name I won't mention, was talking about how you know, journalism's in trouble in the United States. And I don't know whether I fully agree with that, but I know journalism has changed. It's now a lot more about bloggers. It's a lot more about the individual journalist telling what his or her truth is to the world. So in that way, journalism is never going to be the same again, but it's not a bad thing. And, you know, why complain about it? Because you can't change it.
Well, thank you, Joe, for being here. We'll be back with more We Are Marshall Today after this.
As you think about your future, who's your competition? Who are your chief competitors? I notice some of you looking to your right and left at your neighbors. You need to think bigger, much bigger. Choose Marshall University. Big enough to matter, small enough to care. Immerse yourself in your learning. Connect with your professors. And have fun learning. That's important too. Find your passion. Pursue your dreams. Marshall University.
My name's Emily, and in 7 years, I'll be an alcoholic. I'll start drinking in 8th grade, but my parents won't really notice because I'll do okay in school and everything will seem okay, but everything won't be okay.
Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults. So start talking before they start drinking.
They have a few similarities, but their differences are what make their partnership interesting. We're talking about a new faculty exchange program between Marshall University and Alcorn State University in Mississippi. The presidents of both schools signed the agreement earlier this spring, which allows faculty to apply for the exchange.
It's really, I think, a partnership that will continue to flourish and develop here between our respective institutions. And I see this as not only an opportunity for our students, our faculty, but I also see it as an opportunity for administrators as well.
The faculty exchange agreement begins this fall, followed by a similar student exchange in 2012. Marshall University's General Spring Faculty Meeting featured dozens of awards to retiring faculty and also awards of distinction to several professors. The annual spring meeting also featured a report from the president on the state of the university.
29 professional students with Marshall's Executive Master of Business Administration class recently traveled to Europe for their international residency. The students interacted with local business leaders and international companies while in Germany and Hungary. The trip was the last component of the 18-month-long program, which consists of mostly Saturday classes and studies. Marshall is currently recruiting for its next EMBA cohort. Information is available at marshall.edu. Most days you can find these students behind the microphone at WMUL Radio. But on this particular day, they were helping raise money and awareness for Locks of Love. The nonprofit provides recipients with a custom-fitted hairpiece made entirely from donated human hair. The Locks of Love organization has helped more than 2,000 children since 1998. Well, Marshall University is celebrating another milestone in the delivery of health care to southern West Virginia.
Dan, the opening of Marshall's new Rural Health and Clinical Education Center facilitates learning and health care in a community-based setting. This new facility, which houses the Coalfield Health Center, expands medical care for the region and offers an additional training site for medical students and students in other health professions. Director of the Robert C. Byrd Center for Rural Health, Jennifer Plymel, says the partnership will pay off in big ways for everyone.
I think the community thinks this is a wonderful opportunity for them to receive services right in their own backyard. In the past, they've had to drive either to Charleston or possibly into Logan. And now it's a full-service clinic that offers not only primary care, but x-ray and lab right here in the community.
Medical School Dean Dr. Charles McCowan says the advantage of delivering health care locally benefits not only patients, but students as well.
We'll be teaching students, training residents and fellows here. And of course, we have to maintain the standards that accredit medical schools, which means contemporary medicine. And I think we'll be looking forward to working with the professional staff that is here, the hospital staff, and the people in Chapmanville.
I really think this is absolutely great to have a medical facility that's anchored inside of our community. This is the first time that's ever happened. And we're just tickled to death and just really excited to having this married, so to speak, with Marshall University, and this health facility is exactly what our community needs.
The Chapmanville Clinic is linked electronically to the Robert C. Byrd Center for Rural Health and the Joan C. Edwards School of Medicine. The late Senator Byrd secured much of the funding for the $2.7 million facility, although the land was donated by the Logan Healthcare Foundation. We welcome to the show today Dr. Penny Kroll, who is the director, the chair of Marshall University's Physical Therapy Department. Dr. Kroll, thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here.
You have been on campus getting close to a year now, is that correct?
August of 2010, I arrived.
Whenever you came? Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up at Marshall.
Okay. I graduated from the university, from Louisiana State University in New Orleans, and was commissioned into the United States Public Health Service, where I was shipped to New York City and as first lieutenant, spent 4 years there in the public health service, and then after leaving the service, remained in New York for all total 17 years. I got my master's and my doctoral degree from New York University there, was a practicing clinician, and taught at part-time and full-time at some of the schools in the area. I left New York, went to University of Miami, where I was a faculty for 12 years. I found that I enjoyed administration, and so decided to take a chair's position, and have spent the last 8 years as chair, first at Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia, and then at my alma mater in Louisiana, then came to Marshall in August of 2010.
What was it about this program that attracted you to Huntington, West Virginia?
In most cases, you're taking a program as a chair. You go to a program where the curriculum and the values and the traditions are already set. At Marshall, I had the opportunity to develop the program from the ground up, to decide what qualities I wanted to see in our graduates, and then hire the faculty, build the curriculum and the program in order to instill those qualities in our students. So again, this was an opportunity to be the beginning of something that was much needed and very much wanted in the tri-state area. People have been wanting to have a program here at Marshall for a couple of decades.
Now, tell us a little bit about physical therapy education. It is not really a bachelor's degree, it's now a doctorate is required. Explain that a little bit.
At this point, you can have a program that has an entry-level master's or a doctorate. However, about 90% or more than 90% of the schools in the country are already at the doctoral degree. So it's a post-baccalaureate. You finish your bachelor's degree and then enter the profession, enter the doctoral program. And in 2015, we are going to go to a full doctoral program. Everyone will have to have a doctoral degree prior to getting accreditation or to be accredited.
So if a student is interested in becoming a physical therapist, their track would be to get an undergraduate degree in biology, psychology, whatever.
The vast majority will get an undergraduate degree in biology, exercise science, or something of that sort. But you don't have to have a degree in one of those sciences. You can actually have any degree you want as long as you have the prerequisites that are required in order to enter the program.
All right. Is there any type of entrance exam for
No.
physical therapy?
No, there's not. You take your graduate record exam and then, again, fulfill these prerequisites.
All right. And for students who are interested in our physical therapy program, you have some information sessions coming up, correct?
The information sessions are going to be held the third Friday of every month. And we were going to, get a chance for them to review the prerequisites with a faculty member and learn a little bit more about the program design.
The first class will enter in 2012, but there is much to be done before that occurs. Speak to that.
Okay. We are submitting our candidacy application in June, a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks from now. At that point, they're going to determine whether we have a viable application. If so, we'll have an on-site visit in July, the end of July. They're going to then take that information back to the accrediting body, and we will be reviewed in early November. At that point, they'll let us know whether we are candidates, they've gotten approval for candidacy. And we will begin to be able to admit students at that point. If we get candidacy in November, our first class would enter in May of 2012.
So what are you doing right now? I mean, obviously, you're doing your application and you're trying to get clinical sites up and running. So you've been out and about. What is the feeling about Marshall beginning a physical therapy program?
It has been a wonderful reception coming to the area. The people in the community have been very welcoming, and the clinicians have just been excited about the whole idea of having a program. They are in desperate need of physical therapists. There are sometimes a year, year and a half, 2 years of waiting before they can finally attract a physical therapist to the area. So they are just totally excited about the whole prospect of having our students.
Now you spoke to it just a second ago, but it sounds like the job outlook for physical therapists is good then for the future. And if so, what type of placements, where would a physical therapist work?
Physical therapists can work in a whole array of healthcare environments. Typically, we think of private practices, outpatient clinics, and hospitals, but there's physical therapists who work in the school system as well with pediatrics. Just again, you name it, long-term health facilities, rehab facilities. They work with teams, professional teams, as trainers and physical therapists. So there's just an overwhelmingly large venues in which physical therapists can practice.
Now you are on board in our College of Health Professions. Have there been any other hires? Are you the solo gun right now?
Actually, there are two of us. I hired the Director of Clinical Education in January, Dr. Tamara Gavrano. She is the person who's been primarily responsible for going out and developing those clinical sites, for developing the contracts and attaining the placements that we need for our students in that first rotation. She will be, we have the approval to hire another 3 faculty, which we will be interviewing and hiring in the next 6 months, so that by January we should add another 3 faculty to the group. And then, of course, next year and the following year, there will be additional hires.
Okay. And one last time, information sessions for the physical therapy program are occurring every third Friday.
Every third Friday of the month.
Okay.
We are holding up in Pritchard Hall on the 3rd floor from 3:30 to 5. And again, it's an opportunity for them to learn more about the program, about the curriculum, and about the environment they're coming into, and about the profession as well.
All right. Dr. Penny Kroll, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome.
More of We Are Marshall today after these messages.
From the classroom straight to your computer.
I teach international marketing online 100%. I conduct this class from my office, from my home, and it is 24/7 available to students across the country. I would say this has been one of the most challenging and rewarding experiences, not only for me, for my students as well.
Nationally accredited, affordable, convenient. MU Online.
They have been in school for 20 years and have earned the title of doctor.
68 students graduated earlier this month from Marshall University's School of Medicine.
This is the high point of the year for a medical school class. You've worked so hard, and it isn't just the 4 years of medical school, it's all the dedication it took to get to medical school in the first place. And to have it all culminate in not just the awarding of the degree, but actually being able to truly hold the title doctor, it means an enormous amount to each and every graduate, and also to their families and friends who supported them.
One thing I've taken away from tonight is just that even though it seemed like it was never going to actually come, it's pretty amazing now that I've gotten here after 4 years of studying really hard. You know, it kind of seems like it was just a couple weeks ago when I was sitting down for my first anatomy lecture in 2007. And the one thing I've taken away is, you know, if you just put your nose in the books and keep studying and working hard, it's amazing how fast it goes by, and before you know it, graduating and you're a doctor and lots of responsibility on you.
Ever since I was a teenager, I knew I wanted to do orthopedics. I was an injured athlete, a tennis player, and that was my first exposure to medicine, actually. And so I stayed with that dream, and now I'm doing it. I was actually a patient at Union Memorial, and now I'm going back for my training.
One thing I know for certain that they'll take away are some incredible memories. That's part of what I plan to speak to them about in my remarks. For me, it's been 4 decades since I was a medical student, but there are memories I hold from that time that are every bit as vivid today as when they occurred decades ago. And they're precious memories, and a lot of them involve their developing their identity as a doctor, and a lot of them involve their interactions with their first patients.
I've made friends from all over the place, actually, and we're just, it's going to be hard being split up because we get together and study and hang out together, and really made a medical school family.
I would love to move somewhere sunny and warm, but I'll just move wherever I find a good job, obviously, good support, which I found here, so maybe I'll come back.
And congratulations to all our graduates. I'm Dan Hollis.
And I'm Leah Clark Payne. Join us next time for an update on all summer happenings here at Marshall. See ya.
As you think about your future, who's your competition? Who are your chief competitors? I notice some of you looking to your right and left at your neighbors. You need to think bigger, much bigger. Choose Marshall University. Big enough to matter, small enough to care. Immerse yourself in your learning. Connect with your professors and have fun learning. That's important too. Find your passion, pursue your dreams. Marshall University.